Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 70. Again, we're going to give you a look into the week ahead, give you some of our thoughts and compare our analysis from last week. So we are going to give gold and Euro USD a look at tomorrow in a separate video. But for this, for now, we're just going to look at NZD USD and work our way down. So what we were looking at last week was price to, more or less push up higher and give us some sort of, potential reversal. So what we can see, there is some temporary reversal already taking place. I believe that this was around midnight though. So, we can still see that there is some pressure building up into this price action right now. So as we've got here, this barrier of 0.71, what we're still seeing right now, and I think that we could still potentially see this in next week, is for price to really just turn over in the week. I think price has the ability to push up higher still. I don't see any strong bearish pressure just yet, but essentially we're just waiting for price to really just just to turn over into this point. And what we're trying to do is just really aim for price to push low into 0.69, and that's really the idea that I've got going for NZD right now, USD. So if we do take it into 0.69, it's about just under 150 pips. So again, some good reward up for grabs there if this does play out. So my second annotation that I've got here is if price does break 0.71. So if that does happen, what we could be expecting is another potential sell-off. Again, this has the ability, to turn over still. So it really just depends what happens after this, though. If we do get a break above 0.71, if we start to see a strong candle towards the upside, I don't think it's confident. I don't think personally I'll be confident enough to take a trade in a sell position, and obviously we'll come back in a week's time or so in the following week, and we could look at some bullish scenarios obviously if that does happen. But if we start to see another spike up and then another strong sell-off per candle form, then that could be a situation where we could look for sells and those continuations lower. So it's just to give you a approximation of what could happen and give you some alternative scenarios, just to add into what I'm thinking. But yeah, in the event that we do get some break of structure here, I think it has to be, you have to be a bit more aware of price action and what it's doing right there. But for now, right now, as price is already in between, lower than 0.71, we're still confident that we could be looking at a sell-off opportunity, and if so, we're going to try and get it into 0.69. So keep our minds and keep our heads up for that. So AUD USD, what I'm looking out for here is potential sell-off opportunities still. I believe that, last week we spoke about price potentially pushing up high and then dropping off, but as we can already see here, price is already selling off quite nicely already. So I think that we pretty much missed this opportunity there, but not a problem. I think that there is an opportunity for price to come back up into this area, potentially at 0.75, and then have this turnover that we were speaking about. And if so, we can then look at taking another opportunity, taking another sell-off opportunity. So tying in NZD, USD and AUD together, we could have this possibility of where price does rally up towards the upside. So if you do want to take a counter trend trade, let me see if it's even worth taking. I mean, you can do it. Again, it's going to be quite tricky, but again, the main trend for me is towards the downside. But again, if you do want to take a counter trend trade, that is, there is some pips up for grabs, potentially 100 or so pips. But again, what we could be looking out for is mainly just that sell-off opportunity up here. So if you really do want to put your money into the best advantage, I do think that the sell-off opportunity is probably the better angle to get in at. So yeah, I wanted to check the RSI. So as you can see, there is some sort of divergence. So that's why potentially we could be looking at price making a possible reversal. Again, this is just an approximation that price does reverse. It may not happen right now. We may get a little price move towards the downside and then the rally up, or we'll get the instant reversal right now. So again, it's up to what price action does, and then if we can spot that early signs of change, then we can potentially get in on this counter trend. But yeah, if that doesn't happen, then and if we do miss this, then ultimately we'll be waiting for this sell-off opportunity, and then we can reevaluate the situation. But pretty much similar bias with NZD/USD, and that is a sell-off opportunity. So moving on now to USD JPY. So yeah, so looking at how prices going over so far is we're in two states of mind right now. One possibility is that we are most likely going to push up higher, and that's my thinking based on the fake out opportunity that's presented through this uptrend. So what I'm seeing here is, as price has obviously done some sort of fake out here, there is a possibility that price can soak up all of this price action here and then completely rally towards the upside. But the alternative scenario is that we do get a sell-off opportunity. So again, what we spoke about last week was price, potentially pushing up and then making a reversal. So, we can hedge ourselves in this range box that we've got right now, which is roughly here. So roughly at 110 to 109. In this range, we can hedge ourselves so that we can bet in the best case scenarios, which is what I was speaking about last week. So if you did want to take a buy, this buying opportunity would have been around here. So again, this is in the what we can see here is pretty much prices turned over, and this is pretty much well, for us personally, we miss this because of the time date and everything, so that's out of our hours. But we started to see price rally towards the upside. So if we can start to see price continuate and push higher, maybe we can get in on this on a lower degree along the way. So we could potentially grab a rally towards the upside. So maybe it dips just a bit lower, and then we can get a buy in, and then and then in this mindset, we're essentially waiting for price to, see how it reacts to this high here, or in particular 110.5. So roughly around this level here. Sorry, not 110. Sorry, 5. Probably at 111, around this area here, really. And what we want to do is see how price reacts to this range here, or this zone. And if we start to see price pretty much turn over here, we could be looking at price, a possible sell-off opportunity. And if we do get that sell-off opportunity here, we could have that opportunity to find a hedge again for a sell bias. So at this point, we could be putting ourselves in two positions where we are equally, valid to hedge a trade, if that makes sense. So what we would do then, if we do get a sell and then we do get a buy, and then price probably will retrace into midway point, we then just simply let price action do its thing, and potentially as time goes on, we should see clues on if price wants to push lower based on a stronger candle to the downside, like so, or if price wants to push up higher, and that will be simple just based on a strong candle going towards the upside. So either way, again, I'm going to be quite flexible on this, but for now I'm looking for buying opportunities for potential price moves to push up, and then we could be looking, once we get into 111, is for any sell-off opportunities midway. So we'll see what happens with that pair. So now moving on to CAD JPY. So for this pair, what we were looking at from last week was a potential potential move towards the upside, and what had ended up happening is price had sold off. So I think we do have an ability for price to turn over towards the upside. still. So what we've got here is a buying opportunity and a sell-off opportunity, as we discussed with USD JPY. So for now, I'm not really confident in taking a sell opportunity just yet, just because of where price is right now, and we've already had that sell-off momentum. So what I'm thinking for this pair for now is a potential move towards the upside. So so whether the price, drops down just a little bit more and then pushes up, or if we get a push straight away through the Monday session, that'll be it, and then we can just try and get a continuation play along the way. So my reason for this potential reversal is looking at this RSI. We do have some sort of divergence forming, so that could be an early indicator that price wants to turn over. And then this is another thing, we have to wait for price action to show that it wants to turn over. So that's why I'm saying that price may want to push lower and then push up higher. So those are pretty much the indication of where I want to go really with it. And then in the case of price pushing up higher, if we start to get a big rally, what I will be keen to look into is to see how it performs around the 91 area. So at this 91 area, we've got a rejection already here, and I'm sure if we were to go back in time, we can see some correlation with 91. But yeah, ideally we could be looking to target 91, which again is a huge target, but keep in mind that anything can happen along the way. So we could go, potentially find a reaction at 90 or 89 and then have a turnover towards the downside. So that could have a possibility of happening, and this is why it's always best to review price action and your trading ideas on a week-to-week basis, or even every now and again. It depends how you trade personally. So because we are swing traders, we try and find some trading ideas that fit our criteria. So that doesn't mean that we trade every single idea. It means that we trade the best opportunity in that week that we can present ourselves or find ourselves. So again, it really just depends what again that you are looking for from the market. So this is where we could potentially see price action go until we see further evidence of failure to push up higher, and like I said earlier, it can be from rejecting at the 90 level or the 89 level. So it really just depends what we see. So yeah, we'll see what happens on in that point. So if we take a look at EJ, so for EJ, what we were looking at for here is that potential sell-off, but again, this happened early in the night. So yeah, we couldn't really take a part of that, or be we couldn't take advantage of this move. But like I said, that would have been a good 100 pips or so. So now that we have broken this low, we're in a very crucial point in the market, because we are around 129.5. So around here, if we start to break lower, I'm going to be looking at some alternatives around here. So if we do find price action to continue to push up higher, then great, because that's what I will be personally looking out for. I'm not really sure how strong price will move up higher, so that's why I'm just going to leave it at a target of 131.5, and this could be your short-term trade towards the upside. So up to here is roughly just under 100 pips. So again, a good amount of potential reward for you guys if you target of 100 pips is good enough for yourself. But the other opposing scenario is if we do get a break at 129.5, we could be looking at a retest scenario, and again we're looking at our next red zone here, which is roughly at 128.5, and if so, we could be looking at a bearish possibility here. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye out for, and the possibility for as well. So again, a mixed match for this one, but again, hopefully that this makes sense of why I would be looking at a buying opportunity, and that's if we stay above 129.5. But if we start to see a break and a push lower than 129.5, then we should be able to find some sort of retest maybe, and then we can get in and push lower and take a sell. bias there into 128 potentially, and that would be again 100 pips or so. So we're not losing out on anything here by just looking at a buy scenario. We're simply taking a look at different scenarios and different ways to look at the market, and then let price action do its thing, and then we can discuss on what's going to exactly happen. So moving on to NZD JPY now. So what we were looking at last week was price to potentially make a push up higher and then have this potential sell off. So what I'm looking at now is it's pretty much a similar story. I want to see price push up higher and higher, and potentially find some sort of reaction at 78 mark. Maybe, I'm not saying it exactly will, but the concept that I'm trying to explain here is I want price to push up maybe just a little bit higher, but ultimately the main bias, if we don't get a push up higher, is I want price to come back down into 75.5 or so, and yeah, we'll see what happens in regards to price action around this one. And we're trying to see if we can get down into 75.5, and pip wise, we do have a lot there, so good 100 or so pips there. But yeah, realistically we need to see what we can gain from this, and if we do start to see price action push higher, we're playing around the 79 to 89.5 level, so we'll see what happens with this pair. And taking a look at AUD JPY. So for this one, what I'm personally looking out for is for price to potentially make a reversal, based on the fact that we have price action making some sort of double bottom here. We do have a potential RSI divergence as well. So what I was looking at last week was price to come up and then sell off, but now that we've already had that sell off, I think that the possible scenario is that we could have price pushing up higher. So it could look something like this, where price makes one final push lower into around 81, and then we have a push up higher. So I don't really want to go any further than 83 right now. Not really too sure how price will play it off after this. Again, price action is going to be the massive determining factor of how far price will push. But again, at 81 we could see price head into 83, and that would be just under 200 pips or so. So yeah, I do think that this one is quite a good setup. Again, I'm liking how bearish this pressure is, and if we start to see bullish price action from this, from getting into around 81 maybe, as it rejects possibly, then we could be looking at for more price action towards the upside, and that's where we can get those continuation plays. So yeah, let's finally take a look at the last two pairs for this week. So USD Chef. So what we saw here is price making its way towards the upside, so that's great. What we are most likely going to see, is a continuation play. Something that I'm also keeping an eye out for is that even though we do have the strength in the market coming out now, and we do have some nice plays here, we could be looking out for some buying opportunities, and really take it into 93. 0.93, which we were looking at for last week. So yeah, if you did manage to get in on this trade from the early start, great. This will add on to your profits, but again, if you didn't, you can always wait for that retest. So the other scenario is that we could potentially see price make a midway intersection, and we could find some potential failure around 0.925. I know this is something that we could be looking out for, but because we've already had this push up, I'm being quite mindful of how price may perform, because we may just squeeze 100 pips into this, or 80 or 70 pips. I'm not entirely too sure, but if we can get into 0.93, then yeah, so be it. But yeah, I really want to see price get into here. But the a second scenario that we could expect or could see is price reacting around 0.925, just around here, and then we could have one more push lower and then push up higher. So something like that could happen, but I don't think that could happen this week. I feel like it could happen next week or so. So I'm just going to leave this annotation on for this week, and we'll just play off what happens through next week's analysis. So yeah, coming to our last pair for this week. So USD CAD. So what I'm looking at for this one, well, what we looked at last week was potential sell-off opportunity, and then that push up towards your upside. But as we can see, we didn't really have that much of a strong push lower. Well, price actually didn't push as low as we wanted it to, but it did kind of make this low here, and I think this was the significant point, and we had that huge rally towards the upside. So now that we've had this push up towards the upside, I think what's the best scenario for this now is to really see if we can get a sell-off opportunity. So what could happen is price to come lower and then do something like that, do some funny business, and then have this sell-off opportunity, and that's pretty much where we could be looking out for. So I am expecting price to make one more push up higher than what it is right now. So and then have that drop off. So we could be looking at a sell-off opportunity, and just to take 1.24 into consideration, potentially even into 1.23, good 100 or 300 pips. But yeah, if you do want to take that counter trend move, again, that's a good, well, it's just scraping under 100 pips or so, and again, it just really depends on your risk appetite and what the opportunity presents, I guess, at the time. So yeah, so that's pretty much been this week's analysis. You know, I've been happy with last week's analysis. There's nothing too much in my eyes. I don't think we missed anything too much. I think this is the correction week, or you know, where price is taking a breather, because I think the previous week was pretty much the heavy week. You know, there was a lot of price moves going off, and you know, I think this week's pretty much a breather. So I think next week, well, this week and up and coming, I think this will be a good week, because I think that you know, through the setups that we've seen, there is some good potential, you know, to get some trades in. So we'll see what happens through this week, and you know, I do hope this helps you guys out as well. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I do appreciate your time for watching, guys, and listening. Also, if you have any other comments or you want to ask me a question, feel free to leave that question in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And of course, if you haven't done so already, we do have a trading group that you can join, and that link is in the description in the comment section below. So yeah, so that'll be all from us. Thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you all in our next video.